Quite a show, Pitt.
Best seat in the house.
Some of cinema's greatest war films emerged from production nightmares that nearly destroyed their creators. These 15 movies faced catastrophic budgets, impossible locations, and creative conflicts that should have killed them.
Sarge, I'm in trouble, man. I'm in trouble, Sarge.
Instead, they became masterpieces that redefined war cinema and influenced generations of filmmakers. 15. The Thin Red Line, 1998. Terrence Malick's return after 20 years became a production nightmare in the Solomon Islands. The $52 million budget ballooned to $70 million as Malick endlessly revised and filmed contemplative sequences. Major stars, including Adrian Brody, Billy Bob Thornton, and Gary Oldman, saw their roles drastically reduced or eliminated entirely in editing. The 170-minute philosophical meditation on war divided audiences expecting Saving Private Ryan-style action. Studio executives panicked over Malick's artistic vision and unconventional narrative structure. Critical reevaluation established it as a profound anti-war masterpiece exploring humanity's relationship with nature and violence. The film's influence on contemplative war cinema proves that artistic vision sometimes requires destructive production processes to achieve transcendent results. 14. Casualties of War, 1989. Brian De Palma's Vietnam War drama about rape and murder faced immediate controversy and budget overruns in Thailand. The $22.5 million production earned only $18.7 million domestically as audiences rejected its brutal honesty about American war crimes. Michael J. Fox's casting against type as traumatized soldier confused fans expecting lighthearted entertainment. Sean Penn's intense performance as psychopathic Sergeant Meserve created uncomfortable viewing experiences. De Palma's unflinching depiction of wartime sexual violence and moral compromise proved too challenging for mainstream audiences. Critical reassessment recognized its courageous examination of masculinity, military culture, and moral responsibility during wartime. The film's influence on later war movies addressing sexual violence demonstrates that difficult truths often require commercial failure before achieving artistic recognition and cultural importance. 13. Das Boot, 1981. Wolfgang Petersen's U-boat epic faced impossible technical challenges and budget constraints that nearly bankrupted Bavaria Studios. The $14.5 million production required building functional submarine interiors and filming in claustrophobic conditions for months. Cast and crew suffered genuine psychological stress from confined spaces and demanding underwater sequences. The original 149-minute theatrical version was deemed too long and slow for American audiences, earning modest returns. German audiences embraced its realistic portrayal of submarine warfare and humanization of German sailors. Petersen's director's cut, expanding the runtime to 293 minutes, revealed the full scope of his vision. International success and critical reevaluation established Das Boot as the greatest submarine film ever made, influencing all subsequent underwater warfare movies through its claustrophobic atmosphere and technical authenticity. 12. The Deer Hunter, 1978. Michael Cimino's Vietnam epic faced constant budget overruns and production delays across multiple countries. The $15 million budget stretched to $30 million as Cimino demanded perfection in Pennsylvania, Ohio, Washington, and Thailand. The 3-hour runtime and controversial Russian roulette sequences triggered protests from Vietnamese and Russian communities. Studio executives panicked over length and pacing, demanding extensive cuts that Cimino refused. Initial critical reception was mixed, with many finding the film's structure and violence problematic. Academy Awards, including Best Picture, vindicated Cimino's vision while establishing the film as essential Vietnam War cinema. The movie's influence on later war films and its exploration of trauma's lasting effects demonstrate that creative stubbornness sometimes produces transcendent art worth every production nightmare and financial risk. 11. Glory, 1989. Edward Zwick's Civil War drama about black soldiers faced skepticism from studios doubting audiences would embrace African American history. The $18 million production struggled with period authenticity and large-scale battle sequences on limited budget. Denzel Washington, Morgan Freeman, and Matthew Broderick led ensemble cast, telling the 54th Massachusetts Infantry's heroic story. Studios worried the film's serious treatment of racism and Civil War history wouldn't find commercial audience. Box office returns of only $27 million initially seemed to confirm their fears about unmarketable subject matter. Critical acclaim and Academy Awards, including Washington's Best Supporting Actor trophy, established Glory as essential Civil War cinema. 10. Apocalypse. Now, 1979. Francis Ford Coppola's Vietnam Nightmare nearly killed its director through unprecedented production disasters in the Philippines. The $31 million budget exploded to $120 million across 238 days of chaotic filming plagued by typhoons, military coups, and personal breakdowns. Martin Sheen suffered a heart attack, while Marlon Brando arrived overweight and unprepared, forcing complete script rewrites. Coppola mortgaged everything he owned to complete the film, facing potential financial ruin and creative failure. The chaotic production became legendary, with crew members documenting the madness in Hearts of Darkness documentary. Initial critical reception was mixed, with many finding the film incoherent and self-indulgent. 9. Full Metal Jacket, 1987. Stanley Kubrick's Vietnam film faced production challenges from the director's refusal to leave England and obsessive perfectionism. The $30 million budget struggled to recreate Vietnam in abandoned London gasworks and demolished buildings. Kubrick's demanding methods and endless retakes psychologically damaged actors, including Vincent D'Onofrio and Matthew Modine. The film's two-act structure divided audiences and critics who couldn't reconcile boot camp sequences with combat scenes. Warner Brothers worried about commercial viability as Kubrick insisted on unconventional narrative and challenging themes. 8. Platoon, 1986. Oliver Stone's autobiographical Vietnam film struggled for years to find financing as studios rejected its dark vision. The $6 million budget required filming in dangerous Philippine locations where cast endured genuine military training. Stone's demanding direction pushed actors including Charlie Sheen, Willem Dafoe, and Tom Berenger through physically exhausting conditions. The film's unflinching violence and moral ambiguity worried distributors about mainstream acceptance and commercial potential. Initial limited release expanded after overwhelming critical response and word-of-mouth success. Box office returns of $138 million, and Academy Awards including Best Picture vindicated Stone's vision. The film established new standards for realistic Vietnam War depictions, while launching careers and influencing decades of war cinema. 7. Black Hawk Down, 2001. Ridley Scott's Mogadishu battle reconstruction faced enormous technical challenges and dangerous Moroccan location shooting. The $92 million production required coordinating massive military equipment, hundreds of extras, and complex action sequences. Scott's commitment to authenticity meant real Black Hawk helicopters and actual military advisors creating unprecedented realism. The film's chaotic battle sequences and ensemble cast approach confused test audiences expecting clear heroes and villains. Critics debated whether the movie glorified military action or provided anti-war commentary through overwhelming violence. Initial box office of $173 million seemed modest, given production costs and marketing expenses. Critical reevaluation recognized Scott's technical mastery and the film's immersive combat sequences as revolutionary achievements. 6. Saving Private Ryan, 1998. Steven Spielberg's D-Day epic revolutionized war cinema, but faced intense production challenges and controversial creative decisions. The $70 million budget required elaborate Omaha beach recreation in Ireland, with thousands of extras and explosive effects. The 27-minute opening sequence proved so intense that test audiences walked out traumatized by realistic violence. Studio executives worried the graphic content would alienate mainstream viewers and limit commercial potential. Spielberg's desaturated cinematography and handheld camera techniques created unprecedented realism that some found too disturbing. The film earned $482 million globally while establishing new standards for combat authenticity and emotional impact. Academy Awards and critical acclaim vindicated Spielberg's vision of showing war's true horror without sanitization. The movie's influence on modern war films remains absolute, as every subsequent combat sequence owes debt to its revolutionary approach. 5. Come and See, 1985. L.M. Klimov's Soviet masterpiece about Nazi occupation nearly destroyed its cast and crew through psychological trauma. The modest budget required filming in actual locations where massacres occurred, creating genuine horror atmosphere. Lead actor Alexei Kravchenko, only 14, underwent real hypnosis and experienced genuine psychological damage from horrific scenes. Klimov's unflinching depiction of civilian suffering and genocide proved too intense for international distribution and mainstream acceptance. 4. Paths of Glory, 1957. Stanley Kubrick's WWI film faced immediate censorship and distribution problems across Europe for its anti-military themes. The $935,000 production struggled with German location shooting and studio resistance to downbeat endings showing French military corruption. Kirk Douglas's performance as Colonel Dax defending wrongly accused soldiers challenged military authority and patriotic conventions. French government banned the film for decades due to its unflattering portrayal of French army incompetence and brutality. American audiences rejected the film's nihilistic worldview and lack of heroic resolution during Cold War tensions. Kubrick's career nearly ended as studios deemed him uncommercial and artistically difficult to work with successfully. 3. The Battle of Algiers, 1966. Gillo Pontecorvo's revolutionary docudrama faced immediate controversy and censorship for its sympathetic portrayal of Algerian independence fighters. The $800,000 production used non-actors and actual locations to recreate urban warfare and insurgency tactics. French government banned the film for decades, while American audiences rejected its complex moral perspective on colonialism. The documentary-style approach and ambiguous political stance confused viewers expecting clear heroes and villains in war narratives. Distribution problems limited theatrical release, while political protests targeted theaters brave enough to show it. Pontecorvo's refusal to condemn or glorify either side created uncomfortable moral complexity for Cold War audiences. 2. Lawrence of Arabia, 1962. David Lean's desert epic became one of history's most troubled productions through impossible location challenges and budget overruns. The $15 million budget required filming in actual Jordanian and Moroccan deserts, where cast and crew suffered extreme conditions. Peter O'Toole's breakout performance emerged from genuine physical suffering and psychological exhaustion in brutal heat. The 222-minute runtime worried distributors about commercial viability, while test audiences found the pacing too slow. Studio executives demanded cuts that Lean resisted, creating hostile relationships that nearly ended his career permanently. Initial box office seemed modest given production costs, though eventual $70 million gross vindicated the investment. 7 Academy Awards, including Best Picture, established Lawrence as cinema's greatest epic while influencing all subsequent desert warfare films. 1. Apocalypse Now. Redux, 2001. Coppola's extended cut of his Vietnam masterpiece reopened old production wounds while creating new controversies. The 202-minute version restored sequences including French plantation and Playboy bunny encounters that tested audiences. Critics debated whether additional footage enhanced or diminished the original's impact and narrative focus. The Redux version's release required Coppola to confront his near-suicidal obsession during original production. New 4K restoration revealed details and sequences that deepened the film's themes about colonialism and madness. The expanded runtime and additional philosophical content challenged viewers accustomed to shorter attention spans. Critical consensus recognized Redux as the definitive version, fully realizing Coppola's original vision of war as existential nightmare. These production nightmares prove that cinema's greatest war films often emerge from absolute chaos and creative suffering. Each disaster became a masterpiece through stubborn vision and artistic courage. Which troubled production created your favorite war film? Subscribe for more cinema history and behind-the-scenes stories.